finished a production meeting. None had reported. You know, I think I was even with Kurt. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you never want to hear that. My brother Eric called me. But Neil's dead. It's a man got with me. He said, "What do you want to do?" Just told me the way we're gonna get to the beach. The way. This man said, "What do you want to do?" I told him I wanted to wrestle. Because I wanted to do for my sister. I knew I had to beat them. You know, a lot of people would say, does he care or doesn't care? If he's wrestling that night, his sister died the night before, he doesn't care. But that's the whole reason why I wrestle. It was for my sister. And that was my way of showing her, because that's what we did in my family. We showed each other love by doing actions, and doing things for people. And this match was literally for my sister. One great thing about our business is they all and including Brock. And Brock was a gentle giant. Me and Kurt have a relationship that I don't have with a lot of other guys in the locker room. Just because of our roots and what we've done. We respect each other a lot. People don't understand what it's like to compete at our level. You gotta make yourself go. That's what you do. You show up. You're a team. You say you're going to do something, you do something. I want people to understand how amazing this philosophy y'all have, because I don't think you guys even recognize it, because you're in it. The show must go on, and it's so impressive, and I still believe to this day it's why fans still hold on so tight. They know that there's a lot of families that are depending on them showing up to do their job. And sometimes we have to do it under circumstances that are really difficult. It can be almost cathartic to get out and do something that you love.
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
We couldn't let me against Kurt anymore. We can take it easy on him. Kurt Angle doesn't want you to feel sorry for him. To bring it. He's going to bring it. But maybe like this isn't a bait. What is it? It's like pure mode. Pure mode. What is that? It's exactly like a bait. Well, it doesn't have nicotine. Full of vitamins too. Full of vitamins? Yeah. What kind of vitamins? B12, B6. So no nicotine, full of vitamins. No nicotine, full of vitamins. Damn. To give you energy, what does it do? Well, one can. One has caffeine, but then if you can't sleep well, it's got melatonin in it too. So it's been helping me sleep better, and I don't feel the need to vape. So the flavor's good? Flavors are great. It smells watermelon. It tastes awesome. Want to try? Sure, I'd love to try. There you go. Oh, dude, that's nice. You just get in the ring and you understand this is going to be interesting, to say the least. Look at this! Shot! All these athletes have never been in a 60-minute Ironman matchup. What's this happened? The Ironman match was a really intense match. But it was my favorite match that I had with him. What we were able to do at that point was pretty incredible. Kurt Angle, easier to pick a ball. This is fitness for the tournament tap. The champion has left, and he still has over 45 minutes. success in a 1-minute match. Most people would be suck and win probably after about 30, 45 seconds. Take someone that runs on a treadmill for 30 minutes every day. Now go run on that treadmill at full speed and have someone taking you down and throwing you down on the mat for 30 minutes.
There it is. You got to count it on them.
Double it.
I don't understand how the two of them did it. We've all talked about how unique and special they are. They both had gas tanks that went for days. And it's my favorite non-pay-per-view story that they ever told in the ring together. And the whole story for the match is Kurt being down.
Man, Lesnar just looking so wow. Martin falls to 2. Lesnar leads. They talked about the WWE champion has to show that heart now. He just
slowly getting one victory after another. I believed in Kurt so you said hope. That's what he gave you in that match.
time is ticking away on Kurt Angle's title reign. Wow!
Watching it, you can really tell that Kurt had stepped into the shoes of being a real leader.
The champion's in control.
He looked like a real champion in there.
It's fun.
I felt like I showed a lot of people that I had character. When I was in the ring, I took a lot of pride in what I did. And I always wanted to be the best. I was always the best. I was national champion, Olympic gold medalist. I wanted to be the best at this craft, too. And I think at a particular time, I was the best.
See Kurt Angle picking up the clock here, big time rod. But a mutual full full of
Remember the energy. Let me hear what you're head. What I did show the fans was that I had the ability to do it. And I was going to keep going.
4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2.
After the match with Brock, the Iron Man match, you know, Vince, he came to me and gave me a big hug and said, I'm so proud of you. Let's get you home for your sister. And Brock came back and he said, hey, I can't thank you enough. What you did for me tonight was incredible. You didn't have to do it, but you did it.
If it weren't for fans like you, I would have never made it back here after I broke my freaking neck. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
As far as me and Kurt having anything to prove, I don't think we have anything to prove. Our stat books and accolades that we've accomplished speak for themselves, but I'm glad to this day that I was able to go through and be put in those situations with Kurt Angle. These guys were the greatest combat athletes this business has ever seen. And they were the right people at the right time and both in the prime of their life to do this. This was an amazing time. The Iron Man match, I feel like, to me, encapsulates what that story ultimately was and also created one of the best monsters the sport has ever seen and
What
still
you want?
seen today.
You got a problem with me? What's it like when I see Brock now? It brings back a lot of good memories.
I don't think that Rusty would be here today if it wasn't for the farmer's dog. He was always a dry kibble dog because that was.
Seeing Brock and how he's doing in his life, and you know, he's had a lot of different things going on. UFC champion, you know, he got married, has kids, and he can do whatever he sets his mind to. And I think his legacy will be his now. When he was able to
Good to meet
contribute
you.
not only to amateur wrestling, and pro wrestling, and MMA. But, you know, to the world, he's entertained fans for years. Fans adore Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle created an atmosphere that would be conducive to each of them breaking through to new heights that they couldn't achieve against anyone else because no one else.
Where would you like to fly
to
now?
either one of them.
The Angle Slayer
Ancestors
connects.
love.
My rivalry with Brock Lesnar shaped my career in a very positive way. It made me a better wrestler, and knowing I could go toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar gave me confidence. You know, as amateur wrestlers, we have a bond, and it has a lot to do with work ethic. We're the hardest working athletes in the world, and knowing I'm in the ring with Brock Lesnar and doing what I do made me feel like I could beat anybody.
They're taking a tap! Lesnar taps out!
This is Brock Lesnar. He's the most dominant guy I've ever been in the ring with. I'm beating this guy. I can beat anybody.
That transition into a ruthless wrestling machine. It's a different stuff. Still be considered, you know, the most dangerous competitor now. 4 or 45 years old.
Bringing it back to the focus on real athletes and showing what they can do, but then blurring the line, like getting you to a point where you can't really decide on one side or the other who's going to take this, and really being invested in the story because I don't know who's going to be the winner of this, because you have these two outrageously talented alpha males, and every step of the journey was just awesome to watch.
But which one is better? And that's a question. Who's better, Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle? That is a question that people will ask forever. Never really got to find out. And I don't know the answer to that.
You're damn right, Kurt. We're going to raise the standard. We're going to raise the bar. I want my legacy to be known as one of the greatest of all time. Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar rivalry. I wish I would have won the third match. That's my final thought.
Don't you want a better gaming PC that's built with the right hardware at a fair price? Bill Redux has that. They're gamers who want the highest.
Perfect for each other. They knew each other, but they were perfect for each other.
When you look at long-term rivalry, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart will forever live in infamy.
Shawn Michaels knows whether it be out here or right there.
Neither one of those guys wanted to be number 2. They both wanted to be number 1. Brett was more vulnerable than was sort of the seeds of things to come.
What a degenerate. I don't think there's ever been a rivalry that has been talked about as much as this issue between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Made things interesting to go to work because you never knew. Like, it was a powder keg. We started out pretending to be real, and then it got real. Who's the bad guy? Wasn't fun to do. I could have killed the Americans.
Two legends collide. Stays pinned in our minds forever. This is where we break down the legendary stories behind the greatest rivalries of all time. Freddie Prinze Jr. WWE Rivals. One of the most heated and celebrated rivalries in the history of the business. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Both of these men are on a collision course, and we're at a time where the larger men of the WWE are now giving a little bit of room for the smaller wrestlers to get over.
This is a land of giants, right? When I told people that I wanted to be a WWE superstar, I got laughed at because I wasn't 6'8", I wasn't 300 pounds, and for me, it just drew me in more because it made me feel like maybe I do have a shot. Because these guys aren't as big as the other guys, but I like watching these matches more so than the big guys.
You to take a good look at the wrestler of the 90s.
In the early 90s, the shift was to more athletic, in-ring based characters where you were getting guys that could really go in the ring and have great wrestling matches.
It was the opportunity for us because a lot of the stalwarts, I guess, from the early WWE days were starting to leave.
Hulk Hogan is here in the WCW.
People can say what they want about Hogan and all the talent they had over in WCW and what they were doing. But to be honest, there's no comparison to what Sean was doing and what I was doing.
There are certain ones that you get in there with, and it's hard to describe, but you just recognize real comfort level there. It felt like you could probably do it with your eyes closed. I had that with
Looking for
Brett.
something special?
Looking at Sean, looking at
Go.
Brett, they're both flag bearers of the new generation.
Bear witnessing the blast off of the next decade in the world wrestling federation.
It was vital for our success that those guys were at the top of their game and brought what they did to the table.
Whoa, take a look at that. Yeah, Bret Hart vision.
I grew up very much snowballed in with the Hart family since I was a 10-year-old boy. Growing up in Calgary, he definitely came across as a Canadian hero.
He's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. He's my hero, and I think he's everybody else's here too.
I always had a crush on Shawn Michaels. People always laugh when they're like, you had a crush on Shawn Michaels? Just had that, charisma about him. He was the heartbreak kid.
Brett and Sean were like the epitome of what WWE was trying to be.
I'm going to be carrying the flag for the new generation. It's been so summer.
He's a better wrestler. I would say Brett Easton. Was very good and fluent. Almost everything had a purpose and a reason.
You could give Bret Hart a tale, and Bret Hart could go out and have an entertaining, realistic.
Just a skilled technician in the ring. There are no holes in his in-ring work. He had the mat game, he could brawl, he could do it all. He would. Something special inside the ropes, for sure.
I think I was in my prime.
So I think of Shawn Michaels. Sometimes he kind of reminds me of me.
Sean was just a really talented athlete. Anybody ever having a bad match?
When
with
mounted
Sean?
on the back of a Wind
I
Rider,
was a
one sees
better
that its
performer.
reputation for strength and speed is well earned.
Once the term sports entertainer came out, I felt like I
Be a man more charismatic, more flamboyant, or more talented than the heartbreak kid Shawn Michaels.
In my opinion, Shawn Michaels is the most talented in-ring performer of all time. And he knew it. When I came in, Shawn Michaels was a spoiled brat. It was Shawn's world, and the rest of us were just playing it.
In the ring, there's probably no one that I'd rather work with than Sean. That's how good he was.
personally is a whole other issue. I think initially there was friction professionally that way.
Shawn Michaels, I think you're one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever had the privilege of watching.
Sean and me were really good friends once upon a time. And it's important to know is that Sean was a really close and dear friend of mine.
I consider Shawn Michaels.
Some of that played with kids.
In Calgary, Laser, Ron, Diesel, they all were at Brett's house. They put milk in super soakers and were like all shooting each other with milk for like hours and like having fun. You know, they're all just having a fun day at Brett's house before going down to the Saddle Dome and working. So I knew they were friends.
He would talk about Sean and like, you know, how much he admired him and how great he was in the ring, but like he didn't like some of his ways, maybe his attitude sometimes.
He was unprofessional a lot of the times.
You just said something like place, huh? Huh?
He had an attitude to me, and I think more like it was all about him and nobody else mattered.
You can't have a main event without me, for God's sakes.
Basically, here's this punk kid who's really good, can back up everything he says.
Can you believe the performance thus far?
But he doesn't have that maturity.
Even though I was the absolute hell to deal with, I was just so passionate about doing this and was not going to be happy unless I could fulfill absolutely everything. You know, one thing that Sean wanted.
For Sean, he was fixated on the title at that point in his life.
This was it. You know, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
The quest of a 12-year-old boy from San Antonio, Texas, officially begin. The two greatest athletes in the history of the World Wrestling Federation going at it. WrestleMania.
Going into WrestleMania, they had rivalries in the past. This was different over the championship.
Sean and Brett's style complemented each other perfectly. So the story was simple, it was organic, it was easy to get to.
60 minutes long.
60-minute Iron Man match is one in which, at the end of that, the one that has got the most falls becomes champion.
You could have offered an hour match to anybody in wrestling back then. I don't think anybody would take you up on it. Even though you can be on a pay-per-view, it's like, I'm not going to go out there for an hour.
It's kind of thrown out to us like a challenge. Can you guys do it?
And I, being the main event, you knew it was a big chance. But you and I felt confident we were the guys to do it.
It'll be maybe the greatest match of all time, and I'll be proud to be part of it.
We were both just in our peak. I would say we were both, without a doubt, for sure, the two best wrestlers in the world.
I knew Shawn Michaels 3-4 years ago. I said, this is going to be the guy that's going to try to take my spot. Fortunately, I'm not ready to leave yet.
Vignettes were also because you saw Sean doing these like handstand push-ups. But that was so cool. The story's already being told of Sean's going to use his speed and his quickness, and Brett's going to use it. Hitting, submission, technical style. The stage was set.
It just made it feel like Rocky and Drago. Remember the montage of them both training, and they have different training styles. Rose is more modern. And then you got Rocky over here running out mountains and carrying logs.
Shawn Michaels is very good, but he is not, and he never ever will be the best.
They both thought they were the best, and we're going to prove it. Neither one of those guys wanted to be number two. They both wanted to be number one.
Tomorrow in the 60-minute Iron Man match, and I'll prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm everything that I say that I am. I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
match has ever been more calling for that type of matchup than those two, an Iron Man match. Side. You're either a Bret Hart fan or a Shawn Michaels fan, but you are aware and respect the other.
You talk about like Bret and Shawn, and you have to appreciate the fact that these guys really genuinely want to be the best or nothing else.
We were kind of sitting near the top. I just remember being like, I wonder if this match is going to be boring, because earlier in the day, we were eating this WrestleMania breakfast in the hotel, and I remember we see Shawn eating, and he said, I'm really nervous. I just remember being so blown away that here's Shawn Michaels about to be in the main event of WrestleMania, and he's saying he's nervous.
We were excited about it, and always a little bit of that excitement is nerves, and anxiety. But it's what makes somebody competitive, and that's what you live for, is overcoming and achieving in the face of some of that stress and that anxiety.
The man who wins the most decisions will be declared the winner and the World Wrestling Federation champion.
It's really important to make sure we didn't lose the audience.
How in the hell is anybody gonna keep their attention span for 60 minutes on a wrestling match? It's what made the match so special, is that there was a certain pacing to that match. You didn't know who was gonna win. It was so back and forth and
You guys were able to tell a story over the course of 60 minutes. If anything, they didn't slow down, they sped up.
Trying to outshine each other for 60 minutes. Very few that really stand out.
I've never seen two more determined individuals. Not wanting to be the one who makes the mistake.
When Shawn came off the top rope in the last minute of the match, that blew everybody away.
Just thought it was so neat to be in this hole where, I'm about to give up.
We ended it at 60 minutes. No one had defeated anyone. It was a draw. It was unprecedented. Like, okay, now what do you do?
This match has been ordered to continue. Sudden
In a lot of ways, I can argue that I got through the 60-minute Iron Man match, and there should never have been an overtime. It's a great little swerve in the storyline.
I can tell you right now, Bret Hart does not like this decision, and he's going to take it out. I'm showing money.
match that's so vivid, it's just left etched in your mind. Said that is the match that made me want to be a wrestler.
I thought it was monumental. I've never done that to anybody but Shawn Michaels. Honestly, I don't know that I could have done it with anybody else. So for all the differences he and I had after that, certainly not a bad time in my life.
I remember seeing Shawn Michaels repel from the scene in that match and seeing that incredible Iron Man match and thinking afterwards, you know what? I don't think I belong here. It was that good.
A masterpiece, one of the greatest matches of all time. Those guys performed in the ring together masterfully, even though they disliked each other very much. They were very professional.
You know, but it tells you how great they both were. They put magic together.
The boyhood dream has come true for Shawn Michaels. My immaturity and my hot-headedness took over at that point. And Shawn Michaels being awarded the WWF title right in front of President Hitman Hart.
John, you can see it right on camera. Tell me to get the F out of the ring. He's yelling at the referee. He comes over and tells me to get out of the ring. Just gave you an hour match. Everything I could give you. It's the torch to you. And you disrespect me like that on my way out.
You definitely noticed some animosity, and then at the end of that match, it almost boiled completely up.
Pass the torch. Me to get out of the ring. John, you can see it right on camera. Tell me to get the F out of the ring. He's yelling at the referee. He comes over and tells me to get out of the ring. Just gave you an hour match. Everything I can give you. Torch to you. Disrespect like that.
Definitely noticed some animosity, and at the end of that match, it almost boiled completely up.
So, honestly, we trying to put the belt on me, snapping and fumbling around, and that's one of those moments where you go like, this is not turning out like I thought it would.
It's going back to the locker room where he's like visibly pissed off. Like, that's iconic, you know? Like, I have the visual in my head so clearly.
So I was part of the show. I didn't think it's any kind of actual personal thing going on. I later found out that it was. Didn't go to the after party with the town when he wasn't there. Sean was.
Just all let me to the real tensions between us as professionals.
WrestleMania 12, the babyface is telling the other guy to get out of the ring. The story is filled with the backstage coming alive.
I need to get this.
Two or three times we had started to get too intense.
And I don't want anybody else. I want you at 100%. Brett and I always tried to catch ourselves. We knew that it was getting out of control, it was steamrolling, and we would try to pull ourselves back. And every time we would do that, something would happen.
World Wrestling Federation needs a hero. They need a role model. They need somebody they can look up to. Not somebody that poses for girly magazines.
In my mind, you have two choices. I can either crawl inside myself and fold, or I can come back guns a-blazing. By the way, how'd you know I was in that girly magazine? You couldn't help yourself, could you? You had to flip through the pages just a little bit.
There's a lot of times when you have personal attention, and it translates well on television. I think the whole thing added to the mystique and to the rivalry itself.
When I get a hold of you, I'm gonna tear you.
That spell is ready yet. It's still charging.
It was really great television, and they were the best.
Michaels, I will kick your ass.
Shawn Michaels, they were pushing the envelope. And Brett wasn't about that. He wasn't about pointing at your crotch or pulling your pants down.
You're a disgrace to wrestling. You're nothing but a degenerate.
It took on a life of its own. It was very, very personal. You were seeing real life drama play out on television.
I can't stand you and you make me sick.
That was different than the rest of the things happening on the show.
Me, coming from down in Tennessee, we used to have a sign on the wall in our office that said, "Personal issues draw money."
You're nothing but a punk.
I think it was the first time that we were trying to view the product as a little more reality-based, that there are human beings behind the characters, and that the human beings have feelings. Sometimes those feelings get...
Welcome to Great Wakia, where bigger is better. Why settle for less when you can experience the extraordinary with Great Wakia? Leasing in 2025 via K4 LXS for $199 per month for 36 months for $189 a month for 24 months. That's not all. Get up to $10,000 over current value for any trade-in. That's right, up to $10,000. It's our way to say thank you to the Choose greatness with Greenway Kia. Greenway Kia, where bigger is better.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels loathe one another, whether it be out here or back there. He was way more vulnerable than Shawn. Shawn had the gift of gab. I think that was sort of seeds of things to come.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Stop, because Hitman, I've seen you on the road, and bro, you ain't no role. I'll say anything.
I'm still charging. I can't pass that yet. I need to go closer.
Was the promo that Sean died on
Charging.
about Brett and Sunny Days.
Even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend, you still can't get the job done.
I can't pass that
There was something going on between Brett and Sunny. So no way.
So I said Brett slept with Sunny.
Sunny days that are supposed to have happened that never happened. Cross the line that nobody should ever cross. You know, those are the kind of things that could crumble my marriage. When I came home the next day, my son Dallas had been at school. First thing he asked me was, "So what's going on with you and Sunny?" He got really thinking the fourth wall, peeling the curtain back, it's everything. It's breaking every rule.
My life. Here in the world. You should tell everybody all the time, do you are bringing a freaking spoon. Right? Freaking.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Every family member's Sundays. I'm single. You know when two guys are on a collision course for a fight at some point. We knew it probably wouldn't happen in the ring because they're very professional. It probably happened backstage. We're just hoping
That
we'll
spell
see it.
isn't ready yet.
I fooled
Charging.
I made up my mind that I was gonna snatch Sean. I was really ready to kill myself.
Pass that yet.
Right? Put my hands against the wall.
He said these two guys burst through the wall.
Charging.
Apart, and as he did that, he ripped out a huge
Too
clump of
far
hair.
away.
It's one of the wildest things that I've ever witnessed in all the years I've been in the business. These two men, professional, they had an actual fight. They broke down in the locker room. They just genuinely didn't like each other at all.
It's much tougher to work with somebody that you don't like because you don't trust them.
It's been miserable for everybody to go through, too, in the locker room. The drama and your two main guys constantly at it.
Make things interesting to go to work. Because you never knew. Like, it was a powder keg. I was still kind of unhappy. This was also during a time that his contract was coming to an end. WCW competitors were offering guaranteed contracts. They made their offer to me, and I finally got it in my fax machine, and it was right there. It was like, oh, I have to sign it. And then I called Vince. The story of Brett leaving WWE is actually pretty complicated because there didn't any more between WCW and WWE. Brett was negotiating on the other side, seeing if the grass was greener down south at WCW.
This was right at the height of the Monday Night Rumors. People had jumped ship. Nobody of the stature of Bret the Hitman Hart, because he was the champion.
It was very hard for me to picture the WWE without Brett. Just figured it would get worked out.
It's being offered the highest contract of all time.
They were offered about $2.6 million a year. And I remember Vince pretty much said, you better take the WCW contract.
Easygoing WCW.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what situation I'm in right now. I've given my 30-day notice.
It is common knowledge at this point that Brett is going.
But at the same time, he's WWE champion, so you have to figure out, okay, how do you maneuver through that?
Got you in the Survivor Series, and when that day comes, I'm gonna kick your little scrawny ass.
Hi, I'm Brett. And I'm Donna. This is Darla. And this is...
I found out I was wrestling Sean. It was me and Sean at Survivor Series at Montreal. Wherever I said, hey Sean, I know we're wrestling at Survivor Series, and I just want you to know I don't have any problem, whatever the finish is. Like, if they want you to win.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Sean looked at me and said, he goes, I appreciate that, but I just want you to know I would never do the same thing for you.
See, I don't have any recollection of it. At least I've never tried to run away from my very blatant unprofessionalism back then.
I told Vince, I said, I can't open up the guy that would be the unprofessional mentality that he would never do the same thing for me.
It doesn't matter whether it's Sean or anybody else. This is what you do for the company that you help build.
Everybody was talking in the locker rooms. Can you imagine if Brett jumps ship, shows up at WCW, and he's still our champion?
Brett couldn't be allowed to go to WCW Championship. He had to drop that title in WWE. It was no way he would allow Brett to go to WCW Championship.
You gotta understand, Bret Hart said he was not going to the title, that he would not using that in WCW. Bret Hart's a man of integrity. I believe Bret. It's myself that right now. Medusa goes down there and throws him his championship in the trash.
Killing spree.
We are losing one of our great champions. We can't lose the championship with him. There were rumblings as far as how are we going to do this, Brett, for the entire week. There was a documentary that was there. They secretly recorded the conversation. Championship does not change hands on disqualification. In order for a championship to change hands, you have to win by a pinfall or a submission. There's lots of things we could have done that would have been okay. It's a choice. And it's not what we wanted from a creative point of view, what we wanted to do. Brett was unwilling to do what he needed to do, which was make sure that Sean left that night as champion.
I want to say the Wednesday before that pay-per-view, I was in Texas, on telephone with Vince McMahon, discussing about the belt leaving the WWE, and of course, we're talking around the whole like, do we want to, we want to freaking get that thing by hook or by crook? And Vince like, what are we talking about? And I, look, I'll do whatever it is you want me to do.
See, like he didn't want any problems with me. We had a big talk in the dressing room for maybe at least an hour. Sorry that things go the way they did. Sorry that I was leaving.
How did we get here? Because at one time, X amount of years ago, we were pretty decent friends, and we really liked each other, and it really did. It did suck.
This is what it's all about. How many times have we heard Shawn Michaels say, I don't lay down for anybody? Well, folks, this is very, very personal. This match is going to be still.
The Survivor Series is a masterpiece of a match. Poured my heart out that match, and Sean's working his heart out.
It's just a down and dirty fight between two guys that hate each other's guts.
We're 10 minutes into the actual match. The match was going to go 40 minutes.
It's in Montreal, so I'm there in person. I didn't know this was. I didn't know this. I just thought this was as a commentator. So then, at one point during the match, he comes out in this suit, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And I was so confused. Like, why is Vince McMahon there?
He wanted Brett to see him there. He wanted Brett to know that whatever went down was his decision to have it happen.
after, Brett's in it and he never tapped. And all of a sudden the bell rings.
It's one of the screwed Pete.
Don put Brad in the sharpshooter and Earl head there and rang the bell.
John wins, and they just act like Brett tapped out.
Vince was doing what was best for business.
All of a sudden, Brett just looked at me right down and went, so did he just spit in Vince McMahon's eye? That's the moment for me that I knew everything had gone off the rails.
Just disrespecting Vince. Just off.
What he did to me was a huge betrayal to me.
It's all a blur to me, and was out there like a scalded dog.
It was the gorilla position, which is the last bastion before you walk out to the curtain. At that point, everybody looks at all and goes, they f***ed him.
Himself in Vince's office, watching, return. It was down, and I'm just like, oh, this is about to blow.
We were just as stunned as everyone else. We had no idea what had just happened.
The entire arena could tell that Brett was screwed, so that's where it was called the Montreal Screwjob.
This was the moment that changed wrestling for an entire generation and forevermore.
It was almost like kind of anticlimactic. The match was going great, and there was so much confusion. Like, wait, what happened? Did he tap? Why is the bell ringing? Why are there, what's just chaos in the ring and then Brett being pissed?
The reaction that Brett had, like his emotions and just everything, him looking, he just like so furious.
After he spits and does everything else, he goes, W, C, W on that screen. All of our animosity for all of the rivalry that he and I had, it was the bad guy. And then that night, I can make it even worse and never be able to turn that back again.
What Galen was said to Sean and told me, were you in on that?
Vince told me you deny it no matter what, so I told him no. Wasn't fun to do.
So, Brett's on one side of the room. Vince is on the other side. And so Sean was there, I was sitting next to Sean. Vince is on Brett's down. It's going back and forth. Do you remember Sean trying to tap in? I remember grabbing his leg and saying, Let's explain his position. Vince told Brett, what'd you expect me to do? I did it for the company, I did it for everybody in this locker room. And I'll do it again.
Vince and me walked towards each other just like two wrestlers. I walked towards him, he came right towards me, so it wasn't just me going and attacking a man. Like it was a accepted fight. I hit Vince with a right hand punch, like it was a knockout punch.
Looking back on it, it produced very real feelings.
Brett the Hitman Hart, he got cheated!
That's disgusting. It's an injustice. It's not fair.
So wrapped Shawn Michaels in a perception that to this day he can never shake. Shawn Michaels is a wonderful
far away.
If you're somebody who likes Brett, he's a piece of.
This was not something that was going away. It really bothered me. I was obsessed with it. I mean, even when I was in WCW.
Knows better than I do what it's like to get screwed over by a referee.
I remember actually being at a WCW show. We were both in the same town. I went to my room and stayed in my room so I wouldn't bump into him. I feared, like, if I bumped into Sean and he walked in the same elevator as me, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I think there's a possibility that guy could have killed him with my bare hands.
I need to get closer.
Both guys kind of went in gloom and doom direction in their personal lives and in their careers. For Sean, an unfortunate accident in a Royal Rumble match. He broke his back, and he had to step away from the business for a while. Same thing, Brett, a career-ending injury in the ring. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were the pinnacle of the industry. Both were gone a few years after Montreal.
It's such a crappy place then. Finding something more important than this stuff was obviously huge. After he got married and had a family and matured, he quit being Shawn Michaels outside of the ring.
He took the steps to turn his life around, which is a long way from where it was in the 90s. Shawn was able to come back. Shawn was able to become a completely new human being behind the scene.
I could tell that Shawn had a sort of a skip in his walk. I think anybody that remembers and knows me from those days would say, yeah, you were pretty bad for a long time. I've always expected a proper and more fitting, I don't know if apology is the right word, but just someone to own up for what it would and accept responsibility for the actions that were taken. I made the comparison a lot of times. It was like carrying a big bag of rocks.
Since the Montreal screw job, I've never ran into Brett. We never spoke for easily more than a decade. I know that there are times that I mentioned that I would love to be able to put that behind us. Things that led to it were TJ
told Shawn, yeah, well, I'm like, close to the Hart family. And TJ said to Shawn, he's like, yeah, I think Brett would be like really open to talking to you.
Shawn said
He said some days he just would like to fly up to Calgary and knock on Brett's door, and if Brett punches him out, that's okay as long as they can talk out.
I told TJ told me that, and that meant a lot to me. It was like, okay, at least he feels bad.
Well, Shawn and Brett knew it at the very end of our conversation was, give Shawn my number. I'll see if he calls me, and then I'll see how sincere he is. I remember thinking, wow. Every couple weeks, like, Brad would be like, he hasn't called. There was a very big part of me that knew, with all the history these two had, they have to see each other face to face. They can't. A phone call's not going to do a damn thing with these two.
I remember Shawn said he was too scared to call me, and so he never called me, and it never got resolved. I remember saying, I just want to see him in person, and we'll bury the hatchet.
Since the Montreal screw job, I don't recall Bret Hart and myself ever seeing or talking to each other again until
saw Shawn, he was in the catering, I believe. It's real. It just started to pour out of us right away, like, I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. I remember I said, just stop. Let's do it in the ring.
It's been 12 long years since anyone's seen Bret Hart. 12 years of things that I wanted to get off my chest. And the very first thing I want to do is I want to call back there and ask Shawn Michaels. I have not wasted any time.
there's something I've been waiting 12 years to say to you. Last 12 years, a lot of things in my life have changed. You're not the only one that's been carrying this around for 12 years. The only one that's to bury the hatchet.
Happy to see Shawn and Brett come back again. Air a ring again.
But split isn't ready yet.
Let's bury it right now.
It was so surreal. I really couldn't believe what I was watching. It's like the one thing you didn't think could happen.
Let's take the charge. I'm out of range.
He goes, I'm so sorry. So sorry for everything.
I can't carry any more of those.
As a result of everything, See, the best thing, it shows the growth of both of them as men and human beings. Be able to witness that. That was really cool.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Two egos hit.
I can't cast
A lot
that
of
yet.
crazy stuff can happen. You to be best friends, to put on these matches, to make big money, to put butts in seats.
Still recharging.
Drew me in so much, you know, and all the while, like, I really didn't have an idea, like, the gravity of this situation and even, like, how it felt when those
I
hits
can't cast that yet.
It sucks for the people involved.
That's still recharging.
Like, we get the best possible product because everyone's bringing their best to the table.
Both.
I can't cast that yet.
This was absolutely brutal when these guys got together.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Come around there looking to tie up.
Rivalry stood the test of time because it was real. It was real, and it was with two guys that were so different in a lot of ways, but so alike competitor-wise. You get the ability or the maturity to see that and understand it.
I think that when you look at long-term rivalry, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart will forever live in.
Can't carry anymore.
It's the greatest thing that you can get from a rivalry. Because then people remember it 20, 30 years down the road.
Think about, the WrestleMania match to me is, those memories. These guys tell the stories that we
It's
got.
too far away. It's still recharging.
Every year for the next 10 years. It's the biggest matches in history.
I can't cast that yet.
Of course, I would love to go back and not make any of the mistakes I made.
That spell isn't
Then
ready
you
yet.
have to see where I'm at now, and I'm overjoyed with and come out on the other side.
Charging.
It's good to be in a place today where you can talk about your kids.
It's really, it's always nice to talk about reaching out on a birthday or a wedding anniversary.
The stuff that you worried about 20 years ago is fails.
Especially when you say something like grandkids. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's coming. Brace yourself.
We just had a great conversation about being dads, and it was really a joy to be around.
Wonderful to see you, man.
Good seeing
Thank you so much. I
Take care of yourself and
get in touch.
I wish sometimes that we could just go back and redo all that, because it was there was nothing but magic left to do.
Sell your passwords, bank details, and private messages. Sell them with McAfee. Secure VPN, and scam detection, and award-winning antivirus all in one. Plans start at $39.99 for the first year. Visit McAfee.com/online protection. Terms apply.
The Prince of Darkness! That's gotta be
Undertaker rivalry.
It's the best story that WWE's ever told. The layers of the story out of the gate were so rich.
And maybe you have the Joker, Undertaker, Kane. Those are inextricably linked. Without Undertaker.
What's up? Finally, justice is served. You have struck a mighty blow against these vile nomads. With Scorpid Sting's demise, this might be just the thing to finally push those squatters off of Gadgetson's water wells. By the authority of the Gadgetson Water Company, I gladly award you with this bounty. You've done a great service for us all. Top-notch work, adventurer. Top-notch. You've thinned down the nomad population to a point where we can actually take the fight to them. If you haven't already, talk to Spigot operator Luglunkett here. He gives a bounty on any of the Wastewander water pouches you may have run across while bringing those nomads to justice.
Two legends collide.
Have a good one.
Time is money, friend. Have a good
This
one.
is where we break down the legendary stories behind the greatest rivalries of all time. I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. This is WWE News. Taker, two of the very best. Both terrified me. And for me, wrestling has always been the purest definition of art. It's the literal blood, sweat, and tears of the artist on an actual canvas, which is the inside of the ring, and these two may have done it better than anyone. In some cases, they did more than blood, sweat, and tears. There was even burning flesh in one of their matches. When I say these names, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Taker alone, I mean, I think probably the most iconic. Every time you knocked him down, he sat right down. And first time you worked with him, it was just like being on top of Everest without oxygen.
Look at a guy like Cade, look at a guy like Taker, you look at how many boxes they check off. And it's like, okay, I can't be satisfied with being able just to wear one hat. I gotta be able to do it all if I want to get to that level.
I was very excited just by the name Undertaker. I had no clue what it meant, what it was. It wasn't until I got up to Stanford and saw all the storyboards.
That spell isn't ready yet. It's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
I just fell in love with it.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. It's still recharging.
This is when the story starts. They introduced me as Kane the Undertaker.
Recharging.
Little do we know in 1990 that was going to come back into play.
Killing spree.
Movements. The way he carried himself, the composure. It was by design, with so much self-restraint. Truly a work of art, and I can say for sure there's nobody that can pull off that character like Mark Calloway at all. It began and stopped with Mark, and just the way his personality is.
I know. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. My home is actually in Ratchet, but after crashing my Zeppelin here, I thought I might as well start the research I came here to do. Yes, the Sunken Temple. I can say that I've seen it with my own eyes. Perhaps you'd like to hear more about it. You look like the adventurous type. I know things that may intrigue you.
Complete package. You needed someone to speak for him. You needed someone to present him and to be with him all the time. And it was a match made in heaven.
Sewer Reports has named the 2025 most reliable automotive brand, Subaru. It's no surprise they also named Subaru the best overall automotive brand. Get 2.9% APR for 72 months on a new Subaru Outback. Give the Subaru a lot to love event going on now.
All set. You pumped that oil, right?
Doing just that, man.
How are we supposed to find out found?
That's a free click booking. Pay at hotel. Get 50% off only on the oil app. As easy as oil.
Paul Bearer enhanced Undertaker by being able to verbalize what the Undertaker would think and or say and or feel.
He
people wouldn't even come up to me. They would come up to Paul Bearer. They would actually say the words, "Is he really dead?" As crazy as that sounds, I didn't switch off from Mark Calloway to Undertaker. Even when I was in public, although I didn't wear the Undertaker garb, my clothes were all black. Always had black hats and black shades. I lived it.
Speaking of morbid, look at Paul Bearer. You're a little depressing around here.
Hey.
I felt naked without having anything in my hands. So I had to have something in my hands. I thought about it. So all of a sudden, an urn popped in my hand.
Those little things just made that character so strong. Throwing lightning bolts, the fire, all that just added to this guy. He is the spawn of the devil. And it's amazing the input that I would get from people. All people, like the baby face of all baby faces, Ricky Steamboat. He goes, "You know what would be really cool? Like after you beat somebody, stuff them in a body bag and carry them out." I'm like, yeah.
On the one hand, it should have been cartoonish because it had this idea like he's a dead man who's out there wrestling, but he did it so well and it was so convincing that you're like, oh my gosh, this is cool creepy.
It's too far.
My favorite WWE superstar before he got into WWE as a fan.
Undertaker. Let's go down. The purple haze comes up. Dong, dong. The lighters go everywhere. I was sort of like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm sitting there just like a fan watching it. And I'm in the ring waiting on it. And you know, nobody's looking at me. The whole arena's looking at him. The Undertaker, ladies and gentlemen. Holy, everybody loved that guy. One of the superstars right behind Paul Bearer, the giant Undertaker. To adapt with the times, you have to change. After 5 or 6 years, there was a feeling that maybe Paul Bearer was holding Undertaker back a little bit. How can the Undertaker possibly understand what has happened here? And for Taker to take the next step in the evolution of that character, we needed to hear from the Undertaker. We needed to hear from him more. And if you're going to hear from The Undertaker more, you really need a manager with him.
Such treachery between Paul Bearer and The Undertaker.
You needed an opponent for The Undertaker. And looking at the roster, there was nobody that was a threat. It wasn't a monster who could match up with The Undertaker.
Rampage.
Killed his brother Abe. Simple story, everyone knows it. What if The Undertaker had a brother? No one knew this. His brother's name was Kane.
We're going to have to go back a few years. We're talking about a little funeral home sitting up on a hill, full of trees all around, and a wonderful, wonderful family-owned funeral home.
But there was this horrible fire that Kane was inside the house. Maybe Undertaker set the damn thing. And his baby brother perished in the fire. So he thought. The one person that knew that his brother was alive and had been taking care of his brother this entire time was Paul Bearer.
So we tell this story over a period of 6 months. I kept insisting that Kane was alive.
I can't pass that. Charging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Paul tells his side of the story. I took care of him. He was burned. He was maimed. He was left for dead. But I brought him to life. I showed him the love and care that you, as his blood, never did. And now Paul had, in his mind, reason to.
Fetch.
He's coming! He's coming! Yes!
Who else is Undertaker going to wrestle? Legitimate fight at this point. He's literally everyone.
Found out that I was going to be the Undertaker. I realized that that was my big break. I was extremely excited to plan. This was going to be the one for him. It was just so good. I saw a rendering. I was like, man, this is not what I had in mind. I talked to Mark, and neither of us thought that this